we focus on print on demand, giving you marketing and strategies to help you with your print on demand business. And today is the third part of our 7-part series, which is so important because you've got to understand what's right for you in print on demand all over, not just one aspect like Etsy or Shopify or whatever. You have to know what's best for you as an overall print on demand strategy. And we do that a lot with our clients, where we teach them how to actually implement our 5 strategy framework over all of the different platforms so that they can leverage each to their best advantage, which is awesome. So, and that brings us to our topic today, because it is something that you don't need in all of the print on demand platforms. Some you do, some you don't. And so we want to talk about how people build predictable online income without running ads, because that cuts into your profit. That is frustrating. Not a lot of people know how to run ads and make them effective, and you're probably just giving a lot of money away. And so we don't run ads, and we work really well with our ways that we have to make sure that our listings get seen organically. So if you've ever thought, I'll just focus on ads once and I'll figure everything else out, you're not wrong, but most people understand why ads work. So today we're talking about how people build predictable online income without running ads, and why skipping this step is exactly what makes ads feel risky later. Okay? Yeah. Ads actually kind of add to your existing business. They can't fix and get your business to start. And for some, you're not even allowed to run ads on to certain platforms. So you've got to make your business work without ads. And let's just get right into it.
Okay, so point number 1 about this series here about ads is that predictability comes from structure and not traffic. And that's really important, because if you've watched the previous videos that we did on YouTube, or even just been part of our community for a really long time, we talk about building the proper foundations and having that structure. And like Elka just mentioned right now, is that if you were to even send ads to your website or to your product listings, if you don't have the proper structure or the proper intentional products made, the ads might bring people to your website or to your store, but they're not actually going to help you sell if you don't have the proper structure from it. Okay. And most people think predictable income comes from more traffic. In reality, it comes from structure, like I just said. And if traffic lands on something that's unclear, inconsistent, or unfocused, then traffic just amplifies the problem, right? And we've got point number 2. I don't know if you're going to dive into that, or if that was one that I was supposed to go into. I've got it highlighted.
Oh, no, I'm just looking at it. Okay. We have some notes, so we don't get too far off, because we love talking. Last time our sessions were like almost an hour long each. So we're trying to put a little bit more structure in here. But yeah, so the structure, and like I'm kind of making a joke, because the first point is structure. You have to have a business that's worth driving traffic to in the first place. If you just have like one t-shirt listed and that's it, you might sell a whole bunch of those t-shirts, but then what happens after that? We're here to make sure that you have a business that can run consistently with multiple products that over years and years and years, because we've been in the industry almost 18, 20 years now. It's crazy. And people probably think, well, how is that even possible? It's because we have structure. All right. So the second point here is marketplaces already have buyers. So your job is actually alignment, not traffic, which is so weird to understand, because you're like, well, my listings aren't getting seen. So why is it that I'm, trying to align my stuff with my marketplace that I'm featuring it on? But it's so true, because you don't, especially when you're working on platforms like Zazzle, which is the one we love the most, you're not literally trying to bring buyers in per se, except for some really cool features that Zazzle now has, where you can get up to 50% of the royalties that you set, and also, the cost of the product, because you get the royalties and the commission for the referral. But that's like step 2. Step 1 is to be literally competitive in the marketplace, because the buyers are already there looking for stuff. And if you just don't know what the buyers are looking for and you can't deliver on that, then that is the biggest problem in most people's businesses, because you're never going to sell if you don't meet a market need. Okay. And as I said, with certain platforms like Zazzle, unlike Etsy or Shopify, where you have to drive traffic to even like get your listings seen because you're actually trying to attract a certain customer, on the Zazzle platform, people come there because of certain things. And so if you provide those things that people are looking for, it's like so refreshingly easy. Okay. And your job really isn't to convince them to buy, it's to align with what they're already searching for. And okay, so in the chat, let me know the first thing everyone says, because this is what I heard too at the beginning when I'm going like, okay, well, what the heck are they looking for? I don't know. If I knew, I would give it to them because I want to make money. But instead, if you flip it and say, I'm the customer, if I'm in this niche and I want this, like I need this because of this, I'm getting married, or I have a birthday coming up, or I need a like home decor and I want it to be something that is personalized so it looks really unique in my home, or I'm really into pickleball and I don't want my paddle to be mixed up with everybody else's pickleball. Then all of a sudden you're aligning with the customer, and therefore you are starting to understand what they need and want. And let me know in the chat if that resonates with you, because when alignment is right, income becomes predictable instead of hopeful. And we love bringing people from hopeful, which is not a business plan, to predictable alignment, which is definitely our 5 strategy framework.
Okay.
In the chat, are we all by ourselves today, or like are there lots of people on?
There's quite a few people on. So yeah, in the chat, write down and interact with us, because this is why we're here on live, is we like to chat with you while we're doing these videos. So point number 3 is that ads
before Jen even starts number 3, we're not going to keep going with point number 3 unless you start interacting, because there's no point. Okay. Explained that well, says Sarah. Okay, good. Keep interacting. Otherwise, we could just record these. You get to ask questions. You get to interact. Tell us that this is helpful. Okay. Nelda says, I'm here. Lunch with you guys is great. And Dolores says, I'm listening. Okay, good. Keep those comments coming. All right. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So point number 3 is ads amplify systems. They don't replace them. And ads don't fix broken systems, they amplify whatever already exists. So that's a big point, and it kind of carries through with the first 2 points, is that you're amplifying what already exists. And if your structure that you have is not organized, or if you don't have a proper foundation, or if your products aren't intentional, then anything that is being brought to that platform, whether that your product listings or your website, it just amplifies the problem, right? And then you might be getting more views, but less sales. And I know we're speaking about ads here, but a lot of people who work on certain platforms might not even particularly have thought about ads, but we wanted to bring it back into, is that saying the traffic for ads, you're spending money for these ads to be put out. And that's why we highly recommend in our Profit by Design Academy and to our clients is to use Pinterest instead of ads, because that helps bring traffic in. However, the main problem would still exist, is that even if you were to use free and organic traffic, that also means that if more people come to your store and you don't have that proper structure, then it's still just amplifying everything that already just exists within your store. So that's why ads feel stressful when the foundation isn't solid, because they expose cracks instead of covering them up, right? You'll realize that maybe you have a lot more problems in your store or in your listings or on your website when you're seeing those results, and they're not actually the greatest results. So when systems are put in place, ads become optional instead of necessary. And that's where the switch happens, is that if you feel now you have a proper structure and a good foundation, and you bring ads or organic traffic or unpaid traffic being Pinterest, for example, then it becomes something of an amplifier that actually helps your sales rather than exposes all of the problems that might be going on in your store or in your listings.
Yeah. So in the chat, let me know who has thought that the solution to their lack of sales is to get their listing seen. So they've got to promote and get more traffic, right? Like it's a physical thing. You've got to promote, whether it's even on Pinterest or it's also with ads. And especially on Etsy, they tell you that you won't get your listing seen unless you have a certain ad budget and you're driving traffic to certain sellers. And then, of course, if it's a Shopify store, you better have some really good SEO and ads running. Otherwise, you're not going to get anyone coming to your Shopify store. So, yeah, I want to see some comments in the chat, because it's the biggest problem we see in our 9 years of coaching, is that everyone goes like, oh, well, I've got really great intentional products. People just don't see my listings. So it's either Zazzle's fault, let's say, if you're using Zazzle, because they're not letting my listings get seen on the popular sort, or if it's Etsy or any other print on demand platform that's like, well, they say I have to run ads or I have to have better SEO, etc. But it's not really the case, because you might even get the views, but as Jen said, there's cracks, because if you get views but no sales, then like, what's the point of running ads, and what's the point of doing really good SEO if you're actually not delivering on what people need or want when they see your listing? Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Zazzle or Nelda says, I've never even thought of ads since I joined Zazzle in 2016. I know. And see, ads are a crutch, really. And we want you to understand that you've got to deliver before the ads. Even like Zazzle doesn't even let you do ads because it's in their user agreement. But in general, what we want you to do is understand that Zazzle runs ads. Okay. So you don't have to pay for the ads, and Zazzle does that work for you, but they're only going to pick products that are aligned with what customers want, because they're the ones doing the research, and they're the ones that are paying for Google ads. And so therefore, and our products consistently get showcased as Google ads, so do our clients, because they're aligned with what the customer wants, and they have the proper listings and the design and the product and the use that people want. And therefore the Zazzle ads people that are running ads for Zazzle are going like, yeah, that's the algorithm and what we need in order for our ads not to just go to waste. Ads are expensive. And if Zazzle's running ads, they want their money back, right? They want to like increase their income. They're not just giving people money just to be visible. And so if you think of it in that terms, then you realize I've got to level up with my listing, SEO, what I'm actually making, who it's for, etc., and use the keywords that people are searching for.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, did I cover that enough, or should I move to the next one, which is what, 0.4 or 0.5?
0.4.
0.4. Okay. And then I just wanted to say one more thing, and this is like just for people who are here, thank you so much for being here, is if you run like if you do your SEO properly and you are making products that have the keywords listed and then the designs that functionally give the person what they want, not just to use it, but also to be on trend color-wise, etc., then your feed from, let's say, your Zazzle listings, because this doesn't happen as much with Etsy, but if you have a good listing that people are searching for, it won't just come up on a Google ad that Zazzle's making on Google. It'll actually also come up in the regular search under images. And that was one of the things, even back, like Nelda says, she started in 2016, even back in 2009 and 2010, when Jen and I were working on Zazzle and getting our stores established, that's where we went to look for first, because back then Google was such a big search engine, and it still is to this day. Like, I can prove to you with like pretty much any one of our top selling clients, they have a ton of things that come up in the image search on Google for a certain niche that they're predominantly the top sellers in. And so that is organic traffic, irrespective of if you pin on Pinterest. And so let's just understand the whole dynamic as a whole, rather than, ooh, I'm not selling, so I better like get my listing seen by XYZ, and in some cases thinking you have to run ads to your website so that you can get your traffic to funnel through to Zazzle, which that's a whole bunch of stuff that's not worth doing if your items aren't even something people want, right? Okay. And let me know if that resonates with you. Okay, point number 4, predictable income comes with repeatability. And that's one of the things that everyone doesn't like about what our training is, because when you get the one-off wins, it feels really exciting, but repeatability is boring. Even some of our very top sellers, like one of the clients that we helped make his profits get to $1 million, and like profits, not sales, profits, even with the new Zazzle standards where you have less payout, profits at $1 million, he's bored. And because of that, he always tries to look for the next shiny object thing. And the biggest job we've had in terms of our coaching is to help him stay in his lane so that he can repeatedly succeed, rather than spending time on something that is new and different and has to be built up from scratch. Okay, so repeatable results create stability. And I'm going to go one step further, because this was in my notes, but we didn't have the word scalability in our notes. And I really want to emphasize that, because in 2026, we've helped now so many people get to like millions in sales and hundreds of thousands of dollars in earnings and profit, that we are shifting. We are no longer always just focusing on the beginner, because we are so good at helping people scale. And that is what our 2026 goal is to actually get as many people as possible into, first of all, our Profit by Design Academy, so they get the basics. But we believe that there is no ceiling. And so therefore we have created what's called the Scale Society, which is incredibly important, because we've been doing that behind the scenes for the last 5 years, helping people scale to very large numbers on the Zazzle platform in terms of predictable, scalable income, even though every year changes happen and people think that it's no longer a possibility to make that money on Zazzle, and yet it is. Okay, and so I just want to say predictability comes from knowing why something works and being able to replicate it intentionally. So that's a little hint as to what we do in the Scale Society. We look for the breadcrumbs that show you exactly, or show us exactly, where the potential is, where others don't see it yet, because we know how to scale. We know how to build these predictable systems. In addition to the original 5 strategy framework, there's bits and nuances and other strategies that are very much a scalable strategy that we loved helping our clients reach their goals with. And yeah, like who knew that Zazzle or any other print-on-demand company could give you stability in the 6 figures profit year after year after year, coming up to 10 years almost, right? Okay.
Yeah, we've had some comments in the chat, especially about, well, Nicholas says alignment definition is really interesting and makes sense. I've heard the word before, but I didn't really know what it referred to. Thank you. Lydia says most businesses can only scale with ads. It's nice that Zazzle doesn't run that way. Nelda says, I had to move to a new apartment last year, and my Zazzle income was the only income the landlord required because I demonstrated I had a reliable income over the last 2 years. Okay. Nicola, very interesting. Definitely guilty of the next shiny object syndrome. Perfect. Okay. Thank you for commenting. All right. Point number 5. Organic systems build confidence, right? And so when income is built organically, confidence increases. And this is an interesting point, because it makes, for whatever reason, you add or associate pride and ownership with something that you created on your own and it organically grows, right? Versus if you became super popular or had a really great store, whether that be on Zazzle or on another platform, or you're a very strong POD seller and you did that all on your own, you have more of a sense of pride and accomplishment than if you were to just say, oh yeah, I created that business by spending a lot of money on ads and somehow having my traffic grow on its own that way. And Elk and I, not that we did ads for our Zazzle stores and our product listings, but we've tried ads for our own courses business. And to be honest, a lot of the money that we spent was just kind of thrown down the toilet because we did get more traffic and more leads, let's call them that, or people who are coming to our website, but they didn't actually convert. It was people who weren't part of our community or even invested in our community. And so we had a lot of money going out, but the people who decided to come into our community were very low, and or they weren't the right fit because they didn't find us organically and fall in love with us or fall in love with our coaching and our experiences on their own. And so when we get YouTube viewers or people who come onto our email list, or they decide to come into our Profit by Design Academy, and I know I'm speaking more about our courses business now here, but because we've had that experience with the ads, when people come in organically, it creates so much more of a relationship with us, and we get to know people like Nelda, for example. She's been with us for ages, and we've got new people, like, for example, who else is here?
Like
Oh,
Nicola, yeah, like Nicola and Sarah and
yeah.
and Iona. That's someone from the past. Yeah, and we love watching their journey to make sure that they connect with us and they realize we're real, because as much as we're having fun with our thumbnails, but did anyone notice that those are AI generated images? And it's like, okay, we have to sort of somehow like keep going with AI and get with the program, but on the other hand, we're trying to like make a mockery of it because we're real. We're not AI generated. We've been in this industry forever, and it doesn't matter whether AI comes in or not. You're still a print on demand platform business owner that is trying to do e-commerce, but like whether you're doing it online or anywhere else, you're still interacting by giving a service for a customer who wants to pay for that service. That's it, right? Like it doesn't really matter. But if you relate to that person and that person can actually like understand that you get them, that will make a sale, right? And that's what you're trying to do by delivering on those designs. And the first time we already knew that because we love shopping ourselves, and we love it when people give us really great customer service or if we can find what we want. But the first time we realized that even our like no name, so to speak, online shopping sites on Zazzle created a brand that people related with was when we started getting messages back saying, well, I literally found you because my friend had your stuff at their wedding and I want it, and like they're seeking us out, right? And then that's when you realize I'm doing a good job, right? That's when you realize I have more than just something that I have to compete on price with. Instead, I can actually build relationships with these people that are my customers. And even though Zazzle is a little bit more hands-offish with us being able to know who the customers are, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can do that and become more relatable and also connect with those customers to serve them. And because of that, that's one of the reasons that we've scaled the way we have.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. And then the next part of that point is that you just trust the process, the decisions and the data, and the confidence in what allows you to scale without panic, right? And that confidence comes from the organic traffic and organically growing. Plus, you learn a lot more too, right? We've spoken in our previous videos about why people might not be seeing views on their products, whether that be due to titles and tags, or because you don't have an intentional product made, or maybe the design doesn't fit right on that in that product, on that product specifically, right? Specific designs actually work better on different products based on the fact that they work well together. And so allowing you to see see how and what is going on in your store, because you see these no views or sales, allows you to really have that confidence in learning and growing your store with knowledge that you have, not that you're just, trying to make more people come to your store that maybe already actually isn't working for you, like we mentioned in the previous points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see, there's these different levels, right? You've got to use SEO, which is like still the core piece, which is search engine optimization, which means you have to use certain keywords, and those keywords are the things that people are using as words to search, right? So it comes down to understanding, as Jen said, who you're serving, how they're talking, so that they can, like when they're typing in and going like, I need this, what are they saying? So that your words that you attach to your product listing bring like up that listing for that customer. Okay, so that's the first thing. But within 3 seconds, if you don't have what they were looking for because you either spammed comment, like you added words that really weren't truly delivering on what it is that these people were looking for, or they were looking for that, but they're disappointed with what you've delivered as a design, then you have 3 seconds and it comes and goes really fast, right? So there's all these different ways that we teach where you're, it's not a gamification, because you're not just going to Everbee, which is one of the platforms or the tools that you can use on Etsy to find out what the keyword listing should be, because it's a combination of unique titles and tags and also consistent titles and tags that people will use. So you're getting this broad range, and you do things like A/B testing or ABCDEFG testing, which means that you have multiple different listings that are all trying different keywords, which is really cool. And so if you haven't even considered that yet, and you just have like one listing and a really bad set of keywords that you have yet to even test to see, like after a month if it's not working, or after 2 months if it's not working, and you still don't have any views, then you've got to switch it up, right? Or if you have 100 views in the first month, you go, oh my gosh, I've hit on something, but then you have no sales, then again the issue is you're not delivering, right? And in the meantime you're going like, oh, it's not working. But you have to act on what you see, and using that, like that's how you do it without running ads, right? In addition, because the ads, like Jen said at the point 1 or 2, it's not going to solve your problem. It's just going to get more eyeballs on your problem. And so the if you get that to work to start with, and you play around with your SEO and what you're offering and how many products you have listed that are offering this to finally get a foothold, that is the secret sauce. Okay. Let me see. There's some comments. Do you want to, should I look at those?
Yeah. So, okay. Nelda says, I use the PDA to learn how to design the initial product in the right niche and then build on the success of those that sold. Every so often I stray and I go after a new trend. It's definitely harder. I always feel adrift when I do that. Sometimes it does take work, but it takes long. Sometimes it does work, but it takes longer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so here's a little tip, and this is rewarding for people who are still on at 30 minutes in, is if you have anywhere between 20 to 30 views in the first 2 months and you don't have a sale, should start having a sale. That means there's something wrong with your design or your listing or your offering or whatever it is that you're trying to focus in on. If you have somewhere between 50 to 100 views in the first 2 months and you haven't sold anything, then it's definitely an issue of something. Like even on the Zazzle platform, you can set up templates and things. And we used to say that might be the issue, or the bounding boxes are not doing you don't have your bounding boxes set up properly. Whatever that may be, like all those things are getting a little easier with the new iteration of what the design tool looks like for the customer. But still, if the customer finds it very difficult to make like the changes so that they can make it their own, i.e. like fill in their information or add their photo or even take it one step further and everything's locked and people just want to move something around and make it better so that they get what they want. If that's holding them back, they're gone. Okay. And so those views, you don't know those views are they views that just looked and then left, or are they views that they came in and they tried to make a purchase, but they didn't make a purchase because of something that happened. So it's basically called a cart abandonment, right? They were ready, but then they never did it. And so you definitely want to make sure that when you get them that close to being a buyer, you don't want to give them all these problems that you could have avoided in the first place. Okay. But then the other thing is if you don't have 20 to 30 or even 50 views in the first 3 months, then there's issues with your SEO, and there might be issues just even with promoting in some other way, like Pinterest, or, and this is a biggie, and everyone's ready. Post in the chat. We need interaction here, not just Nelda. Nelda's amazing, but and this is one of the reasons she's successful. She talks. She's involved. She helps support people. Don't go and like ask her like to give you the whole course now. That's not nice. But the whole idea is that if you're involved in your business and you are looking and seeking to also learn what may be an issue, or you are actually giving out information afterwards in terms of what helped you, then you're also learning from that, right? And you're involved. We love our community because we help each other. Okay, you're ready, Dolores says. Okay, we have one ready. Okay, yes, they can ask, I never answer. Okay, so anyway, so if you haven't, oh, I almost forgot my point. Okay, so no views in 2 months. Okay, it means that the keywords that you're using and Dolores, actually, you're one of the people that can really learn from this. You have really great, and see, we get to know our clients too. So Dolores has been with us for a while, and I just did a store review for Dolores, and I just shut it down. It's like, Dolores, people aren't going to search for that. Like, you have this great idea, but it doesn't align with what people are searching for. So you're not going to get those views. And yes, and it would have to also be someone who has the same quirky sense of color style and design style as what you're currently delivering. And that's okay, as long as you build that audience for yourself, right? But most of us don't have the ability to like be that famous that we can drive traffic initially to our print on demand stores. And therefore, we have to align with what the customer is already seeking. That brings it all the way back to point one, right? The platform is already bringing the customers. And if they're not getting what they're looking for, they're not going to be looking at your store and your products. So keep that in mind. And it's not like artist ego. We're not trying to cut Dolores down. It's just that Dolores has put all this effort into making a whole bunch of products and even listing them decently in terms of keywords, and yet they're not going to be found because they're not what people are searching for. Okay, great. That brings me to the last point, right, which is point number 6. Ads come later as a lever, not a lifeline. And for anyone who's in our Zazzle community, you can't even do ads anyway, unless you do ads to your website and then drive traffic from your website to your Zazzle store. And but really, you can't compete with them. There's no point in it. Why would you spend all this money and eat into your profits when Zazzle's doing a great job of ads already? Okay, so ads work best when they're used to scale something that already works, and when they're used too early, they feel like a gamble. And as Jen mentioned, we just felt like we were just handing, Facebook money, and it was like when we were doing our ads for our course business, and we didn't get anything that was a quality lead back, except for if some of you did come through Facebook ads and now you came into our community, then that's great. But you would not believe how much money we spent. It was like sickening to my stomach, and it didn't help. And so you, as a emerging Zazzle store owner, or even any other print on demand seller, that's a lot of money to put towards getting an ad, because like it's sometimes 1% conversion So think about that. That's really very difficult to muster, and that's a good result. So you're not in that league yet, okay? And really, you have so many other things that you can do that are in your control rather than just throwing your money at Facebook, or Google or Pinterest or any other ads that are paid ads that you think you might be using to solve your business issues. And so structure turns ads into a lever instead of a lifeline. Okay. So that's really what we want to help you focus in on today. And I hope we've really shown you that ads don't even play a part to solving your problem, because there's so many other things that you probably can focus in on, which we've touched here, that do solve the problem even more so. And so you want to take the closing ads, closing statement, Jen?
Sure. So if ads ever felt intimidating or premature, it's usually not because you can't run them. It's because the foundation isn't ready yet. And we have we have a free resource for you that it's called the diagnostic that will help you understand and actually edit your store. And it's in the link in the description. And I'm also going to put it in here, but it's called the Ignite Your Print on Demand Success, the Ultimate Growth Diagnostic. And this has not really too much to do with ads. However, it is helping you understand if you need help based on the structure of your store and if you are on the right track or not, in terms of building the proper foundations. And yes, it's a very important kind of diagnostic that walks you through and actually prompts you and asks you questions. And you have to answer yourself truthfully and say, am I actually on the right track, or do I need help and do I need coaching, and have a path and a proven plan to learn from. Right. So it's linked in the description below. Tomorrow, we will be talking about why more products is often the wrong growth strategy. And it's a big one. So tomorrow, it's going to be why more products is definitely not your answer for earning more money, which a lot of people originally think that that's what they need to do, is create hundreds and hundreds or thousands of products on Zazzle, because that's the way that you would get more exposure. However, if those products are not intentional, then unfortunately, you're just doing a lot of hard work for nothing. And we've had a lot of people who have come into our community and our Profit by Design Academy who have had thousands and thousands of products and have been on Zazzle for many, many years, but have not seen results because none of their products were very intentional and they were just kind of throwing things out there. And so we don't want you to be in that position, whether you are a beginner on Zazzle or if you've been on Zazzle for a long time. This is your opportunity to do that diagnostic, see if you need help, be truthful with yourself, and most likely all of you probably need some version of help and structure implemented in your Zazzle store, because doing it on your own is easy for you to say that you can do, but you don't know the right path to do it. And that's a lot of trial and error on your part. And that's why Elke and I have decided to become coaches, is because we went through those exact same trial and error steps as you probably are going through right now. And we realized that something needed to change in order for us to become successful business owners.
Yeah. And when we say those things where we say, oh, there must be something wrong with your business, you could even have an incredibly successful business. But we've learned over the years that we've had enough experience in so many different niches and with so many different situations, whether they were, times that were good and times that were bad, in terms of our ability to learn and grow through the Zazzle experience, as you call it. That's what we bring to the table, and we can always find more money for people, which is kind of fun. Actually, it's like, yeah, I'm doing fine, I don't need your help. But actually, yes, you could actually be learning more and understanding more, and even just being able to be in a position where you have to come into different sort of versions of yourself as a business owner, depending on where you are with your Zazzle business, right? At the beginning, or even any other print on demand business. At the beginning, you're like scrappy startup. Then all of a sudden it's like growth phase. And then all of a sudden you're trying to be a scale phase person. And scaling is different than growing. And growing is different than beginning. And so some of these things that you've learned along the way might help you. They might actually hinder you from getting to that next level of scaling and then maintenance as well, and not having the rug pulled out from under you. So it's really fascinating having been able to be in all of those phases in our own personal businesses on the print on demand, but also helping people at all these different stages along the way with their own businesses, even if they've started from zero. So yes, and we've got so many people on today that are already like further into, like they're almost in maintenance, and then if they feel like scaling, they can. And so it's really nice to see that those people are still in our community and just still value our help with that stage of the business that they're in. Okay.
Mhm.
Great. So sorry, I went on a tangent there, but do you want to finish us off?
Oh, that's okay. Well, just make sure that you grab that downloadable and do that diagnostic, and we will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just the same time as today, here live on our YouTube channel, when we're going to be covering that series, part of our series, where we are going to speak about how and why more products are not necessary for you to have more earnings.
Okay. Thank you so very much for being so active in the chat today. Let's see you all back here tomorrow for the next part of our series.
Okay, bye.